Penis envy strain. What does that mean? I'm so invested now. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does penis envy strain mean? Is that like a type of weed? I mean, mushroom? I need to understand. It's a strain of shrooms. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna phone you. I need you to tell me your story, Mr. 3kg. Why is your name 3kg? I don't get it. I don't know why he makes his name 3kg when we all know him as Postbox. Hello?
Hello.
Okay, tell me your story. What the fuck? I want to try shrooms, dude. What do you mean to change your life? I'm learning about this now.
So I mean, maybe you won't remember, but remember when we first met? I mean, we met over Counter-Strike through Travis.
Yeah?
So if you remember, I was actually going through a divorce at that time. I don't know if you actually
I remember
recall.
that. I do remember
Yeah.
that. Yes, I do
So
remember that.
so I got divorced, and my son was like 8 months old at the time, and it was like August of the year. It doesn't really matter, and it was a really difficult time. I mean, actually, my ex-wife had an affair and had an affair with an old schoolmate of mine. It was quite a traumatic experience. Sorry, I was just coughing. So
I thought you were crying. I was about to cry with you.
no, I was coughing up. It's probably COVID. No, I'm joking. But anyway, so towards the end of the year, it was, New Year's coming around, and I played in a band at the time, and the bandmates were like, "Listen, they've got a house at Hearties. They want to have a small little band get together for New Year's. Let's go." And I mean, I was like really not keen. I was like, "Shit, man, I'm just gonna go there and feel lonely, and like I'm not really getting over this whole experience that I've just gone through." But I figured I'm gonna be miserable at home, or I can at least go and get myself puss fucked up at a New Year's party.
Okay, you the fuck.
So I arrived there, and my bassist had a bowl of mushrooms on the table, and when we
Is it
walked in, it
okay?
was like,
So wait, is it literally just a mushroom? Like, is it
so
is it quite literally just a mushroom?
it's obviously a specific mushroom that has psilocybin elements to it. And psilocybin, when you digest it, becomes psilocin. So psilocin gets digested and metabolized in your body, and the psilocin then actually replaces what you would get as a serotonin in your
Yeah.
brain. So in other words, where serotonin would attach to your brain receptors, psilocin is now replacing that in itself. So it's not something like cocaine, for example. Cocaine will produce what is it? Cocaine forces your brain to produce the chemical over and over and over and over again, where mushrooms is more natural, as in it just gives your brain the actual chemical. But anyway,
Okay.
going back. So I walk in, and there's a bowl of mushrooms on the table, and I'm like, I have done mushrooms before in low doses, and all it really did was like make me feel super high. But I mean, I grabbed a handful of the mushrooms, put it down. I tell you now, the hardest part of mushrooms is actually eating them, because they taste like utter shit. But there are ways and means around that.
Okay. So
so
you can't like. This sounds. I'm not trying to be funny, but you can't like have some spur sauce, dip it in there, and eat it.
So what I do now, and I generally have a mushroom trip every 3 to 6 months. It's more just sort of a reminder, because, and I'll get to the details of what I mean reminders, because it teaches you things, it gives you lessons, and it's all sort of internal stuff.
Okay.
Um, but what you can do is you can completely maul it down into a fine powder, actually, and then throw it into hot water like a tea. And then when it's cool enough for you to drink, you can just gobble it down. You can throw it like a drop of honey in your tea as well. It also makes it taste a bit better. But essentially, so had the mushrooms, and it was probably about 6 to 7 grams of mushrooms. Now, the dosages you have on mushrooms, anything above 5 grams is a high dosage. You're going balls deep. You're looking for the space elves, and you're diving deep into the consciousness. But what the trip actually did for me is it took all the suppressed and repressed, and all the emotions, everything scarring from not just from what I had experienced in the last year, from going back years. And what it did is, for 12 hours, it just took all of those memories, images, things, ordeals that you had to deal with, that you've just suppressed in your brain. And it just brought it up right in my face. And it's literally the mushrooms. What it did is it takes all those problems and puts it in front of you and says, "Now deal with it."
What?
And
No, wait. Okay,
yeah,
wait. Would you say that? Okay, so you're saying that all these things that you've had inside you, like all these things that hurt you. You're saying that when you after you took the shrooms or the psychedelics, it brought it to you, right? Are you literally reliving the moments, or is it like you're falling? Like I'm asking because I'm thinking what it would look like in a cartoon format. Like, are you falling through?
it's really not like the music video that you just watched. I mean, I've had big heroic doses of mushrooms, and I've never had like melting animals that formed into something else. Things sort of shapeshift and move around. But what is this more of like? It's not like images, but it's more of like your brain. Let's just say, for example, you were abused as a child, and it's just going to completely bring up that memory in your head, and it's going to tell you, you need to think about this, you need to you remember this, deal with it, work with it, think about it, you're going to rationalize. So
What? That's so interesting.
the conclusion was essentially is like it was even after that trip. So what it did solve me is I got a better understanding of why things played out the way they were. Because after a divorce, you're sort of sitting there pointing a finger at the other person, saying, "You did this, you left, you've hurt me." And you're doing a lot of a blame game there. I mean, you could deal with it in your own way. I mean, people go drink, people go seek therapy. I mean, essentially what I did is I had a year's worth of therapy in 12 hours with mushrooms. And all it did is really scratch the surface. So I was able to rationalize why things played out because I played a role in it. It wasn't fair anymore to just blame my ex-wife because she did what she did, but she did it for a reason. And it gave me better understanding of the rationale of why she did it and why I did it and what played out in different moments. How did it develop up into this point, which gave me a lot of closure. Whereas opposed to it was a scar and all I was doing is fucking drinking myself to sleep every night, and mourning and being very depressed about the moment, but not actually dealing with it, like really diving into why is it the way it was and what brought it that way? Where did we grow? Where did we not grow together? So it gave a lot of insight. You can have mushrooms, Enrico. You can have 2 grams of mushrooms and have a fantastic time. Shapes and
I'd love to try
colors,
it.
and it can be a fantastic thing. But the moment you go into higher doses, I don't want to say it's dangerous, but I want to say it's like if you're not in the right set and setting, if
I
you're not
was I
in
was about to ask, isn't it better to like be around people then, like around friends and stuff at least?
Yeah, and preferably people who are sort of on the same wavelength. Not just necessarily to say that people are there all taking mushrooms, but having someone else there that when you are tripping and you're getting a thought that you want to express, that
Yeah,
the other person is also there to bounce back with you, to sort of why do you feel that way, or did it really, so also help you question what's coming out. Because
yeah.
even that first trip, and I'll tell you, I'm not a religious person. I'm not a spiritual person. I'm not anything. I'm a
You know
straight
that.
up I'm a straight up atheist. But that mushroom trip was the single greatest, like closest thing that I can relate to as a spiritual experience.
Spiritually, literally everyone I know, like with friends or I even said friends, family, all of them has tried it before. I'm like the only one who hasn't tried anything. Like I literally haven't tried anything. So it's definitely something I'd love to try one day. But
I
I'd
mean, yeah,
obviously want to. I want to do it with like friends or someone around me
yeah,
at
yeah.
least, so I don't fucking kill something.
So set and setting is important. So set
Were
sort
you
of
were
where
you
you are.
depressed?
I mean, yeah, of course I was. Like,
Okay,
it
okay,
was.
wait. When I say the word depressed, I'm not talking about just sad. Like, would you say that you were feeling depressed every single day after the whole situation with your family? Because the reason I'm asking is because I feel that way a lot. Like every time I have to question myself, like, am I sad or am I depressed? And I do feel that I definitely have severe depression because sometimes I just fight myself. So would you say that helped with that at all?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, it definitely. I'm a much happier person. So, like, or let me put it this way. So, when I said earlier, I do like every 3 to 6 months, I have a mushroom trip, and I've got a mushroom partner that I do it with.
Oh,
A friend of
nice.
mine who's also into mushrooms, and we sort of kind of went through the same things all together growing up, and what I do is, every 3 to 6 months when you have a mushroom trip again, it kind of just reminds you of the lesson and things that you learnt on the mushrooms. Because I'll put it to you this way: if you want to quit smoking, you can take mushrooms and have it in your mind that I'm doing this for a reason. So I'm taking mushrooms for a reason to help me quit smoking. And the mushrooms are going to help you really process the thoughts, the pros and cons around why you want to quit smoking. But again, the mushrooms are not going to help you quit smoking. You need to quit smoking.
You need to
So
want
the
to do it.
mushrooms, yeah, the mushrooms are going to give you a good guidance, but it's going to be up to you. And then when I repeatedly do mushrooms over and over, it's sort of that reminder of, am I forgetting the lesson that I learned? Am I reverting back to the person I was? I saw someone posted in the chat that it sort of opens up new connections in your brain. So certain parts of your brain don't communicate with themselves. And you can actually go Google it, the image of a brain before mushrooms and a brain on mushrooms, and it shows you the different connections that they make. And it's just simply that it's to rewire your thought process, because you kind of repeatedly think in the same way over and over again, and that's why you're depressed, because you're not breaking that
The
thought
habit.
process. Yeah, the
Breaking the
habit, the
habit.
thought process. And taking mushrooms, either low, high, and you sort of can work yourself up to it. It can put you in a train of thought,
Okay.
and
I have a
to
question.
really, yeah.
So, no, sorry, I interrupted you. Finish your sentence
No,
first, but then I have a question.
no, but it can help you break through barriers that you are stuck with.
So, this homie says that mushrooms will permanently change you. It's not a once-off thing. It's something that if you do it once, you'll probably have to do it again. Would you agree? Like, is it? I won't say it's not an addiction, because if you do it every 3 to 6 months,
You
I don't
just
see it as an
can't.
addiction.
First of all, okay, so the actual facts of, I can take 10 grams of mushrooms today,
Yeah.
and if tomorrow I want to have the same level of trip as I did yesterday, I have to take double the dose. So
Okay.
it also takes like 30 odd days for your tolerance to be
Okay.
completely removed.
Okay.
So it would be impossible to be addicted to mushrooms, because actually it's like that mushroom trip I'm referring to at that New Year's party was actually a horrible experience, because it was so helpful. It was, imagine having to deal with your demons for 12 hours, and when you come out of
How
it,
the fuck, dude?
it was a difficult thing to get through, but it was in line with the birth of my son and likely the death of my parents, and big moments in your life. That experience on mushrooms is something that, if someone doesn't actually have a psychedelic experience in their life, they're really missing out.
Can
They're
you
missing out on a journey.
can you explain? You're saying you're saying okay, you're dealing with the birth of your son, the death of your parents, right? These are both good and bad things, right? So
Yeah.
you're saying you're dealing with it for 12 hours. Can you explain to me what that means? You're saying you're dealing with it. What is that? Do you see? Does it play over? Like, I'm trying to understand from a person who doesn't, because I do not understand psychedelics at all, right? But I need to understand, like, when you say that you're dealing with it, what does that mean? Just try and, if you can put it into words for me to visualize, because I'm super interested now. Like, I'd love to know how you deal with it, right? But like, I know HenricoM is he's one of my mods. He's also very into like psychedelics and stuff like that. And he says that it's a lot of it's in your mind. It's like a racing. He says just a lot of thoughts racing in your head. Is it quite literally like that, or?
It's literally, yeah, like it's non-stop thought after thought after thought, and it's actually very difficult to try and grasp a single thought while you're tripping, because actually because a lot of the digestion that you're going to have from the mushroom trip is afterwards. So
Okay.
for months and months and months after that trip, I would be driving in the car, and I would then remember the thought that I had on the trip, and I would go, oh yes, and it would sort of help me rebuild what exactly the mushrooms were trying to tell me. And it sounds funny when I'm saying, oh, the mushrooms are talking to you, but generally the mushrooms are helping your brain talk to yourself, like it's helping relive these memories. But to where you asked, well, what is actually happening? So remember, I was going through a divorce. So the
Okay.
thought was, okay, my wife left me and she had an affair. Why? Because she was introduced to a guy who was my friend. Why? And you build the sequence of events, the memories, you start placing your own assumption onto, but why did she think that particular thought at that time? And maybe that's why it played out, that created their bond, and I wasn't there in that place, which the guy was. Like, you start rebuilding these images, these stories, this timeline, this understanding and rationale. And again, Enrico, I'm a data based, factual type of guy. I want data. Don't tell me, oh, this is, this happens because of this. It's like, I want
Yeah,
to know why. Where's your data? What's your facts? What's the
agree.
contribution to this? So that is how my images came to me. You might just experience it in a completely different way. You might
So
just you might just weep for 12 hours and that's
yeah.
exactly what you needed. You never know.
So to me, it honestly, to me, it sounds like just a fucking paranoid experience.
No, no, no.
'Cause the way you're explaining it to me, it just sounds like you're paranoid and like reliving these things in your mind, and you're just, I don't know.
But
To me, it sounds like I would personally just break myself down, but I guess it's different for every person, right?
you could possibly very much break yourself down because that's exactly what you need from it. Is
What?
because
That's
your
insane.
ego. Remember, your ego is protecting you. Your ego doesn't want harsh thoughts and words and opinions to hit your subconscious and try and damage you. Your ego is this wall. And what mushrooms do is it just strips that ego away and says, no, no, no. Everything coming in needs to come in and everything coming out needs to come out because that's how you need to deal with things. Are you going to suppress what needs to be dealt with? You might just be depressed for the rest of your life. Or are you going to actually
Ah.
bring it out and deal with what you need to
So
deal with?
wait, it can, while it can be a good experience, it can also be a bad experience that leaves you with bad memories, or like, I don't know, I can't really say worse memories, but you know what I mean, right?
If you're going into a mushroom trip, or let's say, it's not to say that you're like unprepared, but if you're going with the intention to, like, you want to, and I'm using the smoking as just a plain
Yeah, yeah,
example.
yeah, yeah.
If you're going into a mushroom trip with the intention to quit smoking, so you've already prepared yourself for the day, you're getting this mindset as you're eating the mushrooms, you're reminding yourself, I want to do this. You're gonna sort of go on that path. That's where your train of thought is gonna be. I mean, if you're going into a mushroom trip unprepared and you're sort of going to go, well, let's see what happens. Well, that's what's going to happen. You never know what your mind is going to sort of bring up to the
So,
surface.
so you're saying having a good mindset going into it will obviously change it.
Set and setting. So where
Okay.
you are, who you're
Way
with, and where you are in your life at the moment. If you are in a depressed, bad state of mind, then having 10 grams of mushrooms is probably a very fucking bad idea.
yeah.
Maybe start with 2 and build up to it, and you'll slowly see the differences between low dosage and high dosage. Again, I don't recommend it for everyone. Like, for example, my wife right now, I don't think she should take mushrooms. I don't, just not to say that she will have a bad time, but she's in a, or it's like your parents, my parents, certain people are who they are and they're happy with who. Sort of break them out of that mold is probably not the right direction for them, because they're happy. They're not unhappy. They're happy with where they are in their life. But if you're not happy with where you are, or you're not happy with the way you feel about a certain thing about yourself, or about a certain situation, mushrooms is a help, eh? Going to therapy is equally as a help. Just having someone talk to you is a positive outlet.
Damn. That's actually so interesting. I never thought that. I thought it was just the fucking high that people wanted to get. Hey, what's up,
Yeah,
Beck?
it's the propaganda that the war on drugs has always been spreading. Like
But okay, but
psychedelics are
is
bad for you.
mushrooms really a drug? Like, can you?
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean
this is
it's a
again
Schedule 5 drug, yeah, according to the
really.
government.
So if you
Yeah,
get
it's
caught with shrooms, you can go to jail. So I can't tell them, hey, I just bought this to Pick and Pay. I'm making soup tonight.
no, I mean it's kind of like having most unregulated drugs in your car. You're gonna get in trouble.
What?
Because it's not regulated. Remember, like even marijuana is not regulated. It's Yes, they've made it for recreational purposes at home, but it's not regulated. There aren't, the South African Pharmacy Council haven't put regulations on what the dosage is. There's no control over it, so it's an uncontrolled substance. Therefore, it is essentially illegal.
Wow, that's insane. Well, thank you for giving me a little bit of a 10-minute teach on that. That's so cool. I see. So Teddy says, I don't know if you know anything about this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. That they're doing like research on microdosing with depression.
Yes, yeah, they've been doing that for years as well. And I mean, again, it's like the reason why we don't have scientific evidence in favor or against marijuana, for example, is because it's illegal. So you can't take an illegal substance and do regulatory clinical trials on it, because what are you going to do with it? It's first of all, it's an illegal substance. There's going to be no backing. There's going to be no support. But slowly but surely, as this, the 60s propaganda of war on drugs is slowly fading away, marijuana is getting the proper attention it needs from a clinical trials point. I mean, the psychedelics, mushrooms, and MDMA, that is
Damn.
being utilized as PTSD recoveries, depression, anxiety. I mean, anxiety is a big thing that can release you from.
Damn, that's so I just want to make it very, very public for a second that I'm not gonna do shrooms chat. I'm just saying that I would like to do it. I think it's something very interesting that I'd like to try. I've also said this publicly a lot that I would love to try DMT, but I know that DMT is probably one of the fucking craziest drugs in the world. So doing that would be stupid.
I mean, we get DMT in a different form.
Wait, did PacMan says HenricoM goes full-time streaming and then starts doing drugs? The streaming life has changed me, PacMan. Sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, like DMT, like we get DMT where it's more like a crystal that you would put onto tobacco. So they call it changa. You know, anyone in chat who knows what I'm talking about will know what I'm talking about. So we can actually get DMT. And I mean, the friend of mine who's done mushroom trips with me continuously, you know, we would be sort of mid-peak on the mushroom trip, and then you smoke a bit of DMT, and then you see some crazy, crazy shit. But again, it is so peaceful. It is.
Have you tried it?
Yeah. I mean,
can I ask you about DMT?
It's like, I don't know. I mean, my experience is generally I'm in a tunnel of light and figures that I can't really put faces to, but it's very happy. It's very blissful, and once it comes down, I feel like a happier person. I feel like I don't want to smoke. I feel like I shouldn't have been drinking the day before. You know, it makes me feel a lot more positive as a person, and I feel that way for a long time. There's also no down. I mean, like you say, you've never done drugs. You know, coke and cats and all that stuff. It's not about, to me, it's not about how you feel on it. I don't want to feel how I feel afterwards, which is why I don't do that shit, because the come down, it's so shit. It's not worth it. Where with mushrooms is where you started, you're gonna peak and you're gonna come back down where you left off. It is completely natural.
Dude, drugs are scary. I'm just reading everyone's messages in chat. Like this homie says that Changa fucked up his friend, made him schizophrenic. So I'm guessing it could be both good and bad. Okay, wait. So I heard once that, I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast, that with DMT, it kind of feels like you're in our dimension, right? And then when you take DMT, it's almost like you poke your head through and go into like a fourth dimension, kind of, and you just see all these shapes and shit around you.
I have heard him explain that, but I think Joe Rogan's got the money for very high doses of DMT. I don't have the cash for that type of level.
Okay, so it's expensive as well, I'm guessing.
Well, not necessarily expensive. It's you can get it, but it's hard to get. First of all, and then it's about having the courage and also the setting and the people around you to be able to do that type of high dosage. So yes, you could probably spend, I don't know, $1,000 and get that level. But I'm scared. You know, like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Do I want to see space elves and the continuum and, you know, ride the flux capacitor to return? I don't know. Do I? Really
sounds amazing, dude. I agree with what PacMan says here. He's intrigued by it. I also feel super fucking intrigued towards drugs, but not. I don't want to try it. I just want to hear what people experience. Like, surely it has to fucking look cool, dude. Like, there has to be a reason why people do it. There has to be some, like you said, there has to be something that people use drugs to deal with post traumas or whatever the fuck. So I'd love to, like, I wish you could, I don't know how to visualize it or explain it to visualize it the best, you know? It'd be so cool if you can, like, record your mind when you go through something like that. Like when I say record, like an actual video. That'd be so cool, dude.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's impossible to explain. It's like trying to explain the spiritual experience. It's impossible to explain. You have to experience it, which is why I say most people are at a detriment if they don't experience a psychedelic experience at least once in their life, whether it's a low dosage or high dosage. I'm not promoting and saying, like you saying someone in chat said that fucked up his friend. He probably had, you know, existing issues and problems. He was probably already on the level of schizophrenia or psychosis or something. You know, it was undiagnosed.
Yeah.
You know, it could be. It could not be.
But that's why I'm more interested in than actually just wanting to do it, right? Like when you told me that you did it, I was immediately just interested in it because I like listening and hearing what people's experiences are. I think it's super fascinating. I'll be honest with you, dude. I'll probably pussy out I'll be I'll pussy out the moment I can ever get the opportunity for stuff like that because I'm just not a drug person. So
I'm not a drug person myself. Like I
exactly.
say, it was a moment thing of like, hey, look at this on the table. Why would you want to shy away from
Well, to be fair, no, but to
an
be fair,
experience?
don't show yourself short. You were dealing with a lot of shit, right? And I feel
Yeah, but
like I think a
I
lot of
didn't
people
plan
was
that that would solve it though. It was more of like, oh,
no,
this
no,
is another escape. I could have drank a bottle of vodka, but hey, there was a second option.
no. But that's what I'm saying. So you were in a shitty place in your life, right? So I think you more did it because you didn't give a fuck. You're like, whatever,
Yeah,
dude. And then it somehow helped you, right? But I think that's what happens to a lot of people is they deal maybe with like the fucking someone's abusing them or someone is breaking them or I don't know, someone's just going through a tough time, right? And then they go to a shop and then some random guy offers them coke and they're like, whatever the fuck, dude. Or they go to their friend is like, oh, you should try some coke. And then they're like, whatever the fuck, my life's already a mess. Might as well try this, you know? And then it's someone maybe helps them, you know?
okay, and I mean, yeah,
Okay,
one and
I
done, eh?
use coke. I
One
use
and
coke.
done.
Yeah, sorry, I use cocaine that's the worst.
Yeah,
That is probably the worst fucking the worst drug to use. Let's go back. Let's say someone offers you shrooms or weed or whatever the fuck. It's like you think to yourself, oh, everything's already so fucked. This might as well just be a one and done thing, or I might as well just do it now. And then you do it, and then it actually kind of helps you. I guess I don't know.
I think the misinformation about psychedelics is what's also missing in general
Yeah, I mean,
social circles.
I've never learned anything about
Yeah,
everything I've learned about psychedelics is literally through friends, you, and the Joe Rogan podcast.
I mean, ek was grootgemaak met die hand. So, my father bliksemed fear into me that I didn't want to do anything. So, when you got a bit older and there isn't, like, I didn't have to report to anyone, doing those things was a lot easier. I mean, look, I'm not going to say don't do mushrooms. I'm definitely going to say do mushrooms because
Try
to
it.
something from my positive side, and particularly the circle of friends that I have that who we all share the same positivity around it. Like if you can go to the beach with a friend or two, take a gram or two, and just spend 6 hours on the beach under an umbrella watching the ocean. Thoughts will run. It's a very positive experience.
Huh. Okay. Thank you for that. Like I said, I'm probably not ever going to do it. I'm not going to lie. Probably not ever going to do it. But it's very interesting to learn. Very, very, very interesting to learn about it. I like it. It looks like a lot of people actually have experience with these type of things. I know, like I said, HenricoM is he's one of my mods, and he's quite the how can I say the psychedelic entrepreneur. Not entrepreneur, that's the worst word. He knows about it. He knows about the things. He's learned a lot about it. So he's also saying that he just uses it for a good time, which is fair.
I do that on the odd occasion too, or like when I don't want to have a high dose and I also just want to have a relaxing laugh and a good time. Yeah, having
Yeah.
2 to 3 grams is a great jewel. And then you don't have to have alcohol. Again, it's like I'm not a drinker because I don't like suffering for fucking 4 days afterwards with liver and I'm feeling sick and heavy. Where mushrooms, I have mushrooms 6 hours later, I'm sober again. Like that's how it works.
But that's like the same with weed. People will smoke fucking copious amounts of weed, and you'd think it would fuck them up and make them feel horrible, but they wake up like the next day like it's nothing.
It's normal.
That's why every time I drink or something, Mooney or Moonflower and Cameron are always like, "Cease, man, disgusting." Why? Because if you drink, the next morning you wake up, you're fucked, right? Your head is like sore. You maybe throw up, like everything is bad, and you smoke weed, and the next morning you wake up, you just smoke some more weed because there's nothing wrong.
What I discovered with alcohol's a suppressive. So I feel like alcohol numbs things as opposed to the opposite of a psychedelic, which just pushes everything to the surface. So to me, alcohol also sort of very much slowed down after that first experience because I didn't want to have to re-suppress everything and then have to reawake it with another hard trip. So I don't drink. I mean, I do drink. Don't get me wrong. You come for a braai, we're gonna have a case of beer. That's fine, but I don't drink non-socially.
Yeah, you don't like drinking non-socially. Okay, that's fair.
So yeah, I mean, those are my experiences. Again, I'm one person, and you'll probably find more people like me who are on the positive side of things than when you hear a story of a negative side. And a negative side is, oh, it was traumatic. It's probably because you were in a shit situation, you were in a shit place, you didn't have good people around you. There were people going, "Ooh, look here," like teasing, not setting it in the right mood because it's. Let me tell you, you never ever underestimate a mushroom.
Or any drug for that matter.
No, fair enough. It's quite right, but don't look at a mushroom and go, "Oh, this is just 2 grams. This is gonna be easy." And the next thing you're gonna be fucking, going, "Oh shit."
Okay. And is it instant?
No, it takes normal. Give it like an hour because it's got to be digested by your stomach. So it also depends if you've eaten in the day. So what I'll do is when I'm tripping is I'll fast in the morning. So wake up in the morning, don't have breakfast, don't have lunch, and then more around 2-3 o'clock you clap your mushroom so it gets digested quicker. If you're having it in a tea, like you've ground it down into a fine powder and you've thrown it into hot water with a bit of honey, within 30 minutes. So the difference
Listen.
is when you're eating it, you do like a slow launch up, and then eventually you get to the moon. Where if you drink it with a tea, where it's sort of softened by hot water, you are at the moon.
SpaceX, that bitch. So
Yeah.
last question, I promise. So when you take it, would you say like go to your living room and sit on the couch, or would you say, you know, like what
Depends.
would you say sitting down is a good idea, or laying down,
Yeah,
or should you be
yes.
moving around, or
Put a blanket on the grass, go lie on the grass, look at the clouds in the sky. I mean, even sitting around a table with friends, got your drinks and your smokes, and you'll just sit around. And it can be quiet for 6 hours because everyone is in their own mind space, or you could be just laughing and it
what?
depends on what the environment and the atmosphere is for you. I mean, me personally, most of my trips is I go to a bedroom, I turn all the lights off, lie in bed, and then you just sit there with your own thoughts. I find it a lot more therapeutic. That's trips that I do on my own. When it's with mates, it's generally around a table. Got drinks, smoking, chain smoking like mad animals.
But is drinking a good idea with that? I don't know if that it doesn't sound like a
Uh,
very good idea.
it's difficult because it's a poison. Because you're digesting it, your body now sort of closes off your stomach. It also makes it very difficult to swallow anything. You kind of feel like you want to throw something. So, like for me, my personal experience on mushrooms is I'll finish a beer in an hour. Because it's so difficult to swallow. It's like
Difficult to
every
get it
time you're
done.
swallowing, it's like a herd of turtles that you're trying to force down your throat.
Hmm. Okay. Damn. That's interesting. Well, it's not interesting. It's just it sounds scary, but also it makes complete sense. Well, thank
I'll
you for teaching
I'll
me.
repeat it. I'll repeat it one last time. It is the single most spiritual experience I've ever had in my life.
Just that one or all of them?
That first one was the pinnacle. I mean, if you were to say you're chasing the dragon, I'm chasing that first one. But I don't want that first one because of how difficult it was, because of all what it needed to be dealt with. And I mean, I had a mushroom trip over December with mates, and it was more of a reminder of I'm kind of over that stuff. I'm not sad about it anymore. I've moved on. I'm happier, and it's just more of a reminder. That's why I take them incrementally over 6 months.
That's super. Well, I'm very happy that you got to deal with all that. I
Thank you,
hope your
man.
life is a lot better now. I believe that it is. It looks like things are better.
Well, next time
And
I'm in where you're in.
South West.
Well, next time I'm close by, I'll drop by and we'll have a journey. Okay.
Maybe I'm not gonna confirm or deny if that'll happen. Thank you very
I'm a
much.
I'm a fantastic guide. You can trust me. Okay.
I trust you. It's just I don't think it's something I want to publicly confirm or deny. You
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah. No, you're not doing it at all. Fuck that. You're
But
never
yeah,
doing
I don't want to. I don't think I'll ever do that. Like I said, it'll probably come to the moment, and I'll be like, no, dude, I'll check it out. But that's just because I'm a little bitch. Anyway, thank you so much, Darren. I appreciate it. I mean, that's very, very kind of you to tell me your story.
No worries, man.
You literally just gave me a free YouTube video, by the way, so thank you very much. I'll talk to you later, okay? Good luck with work today.
Cheers, eh?
Okay, much love, Amy. Bye bye.